Expecto Patronum, Accio podcast, everybody. Here it is, the franchise. I'm your host on the Hogwarts Express, Daniel Ehrenberg. It's episode number 117.
Whoa!
Is that right?
Wow, Leviosa.
Oh, Wingardium Leviosa. It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Sa.
All right, yeah. Hey, if you haven't guessed, we're covering HP, not Henry Papali. I know, it's Harry Potter, Mr. Potter. And this week we'll be doing the Sorcerer's Stone, or the Philosopher's Stone if you prefer, and the Chamber of Secrets.
That's right. It's a big one. One of the most time-consuming endeavors
Henry,
for mine so far.
Good heavens, are these movies long?
They really are.
I really didn't remember it, because in my mind, I've read all the books, and the books don't get long until the fourth one. The first three books are relatively brief, and then you get to the fourth one, it's like whatever it is, 700 pages or whatever. Yeah. And I kind of thought the movies were that way too in my memory, but my memory betrayed me. It was almost like I was Gilderoy Lockhart at the end of the Chamber of Secrets, and so. I'll just keep making these refs.
Obviously.
And so these movies are fucking long. They took forever to watch. Chamber of Secrets is 2 hours and goddamn 40 minutes long. Get out of here.
I know, dude.
That's inexcusable.
I made a wise decision. I've lately been doing a thing where I've been sort of watching our movies like the night before or two before, to pack it in there. And
the night before, I call it the Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Seth Rogen special.
There you go. Mm-hmm. And this time I looked ahead, and you had forewarned me, because I had seen these first two like 12, 13 years ago, but I didn't remember anything, and I wanted to look how long they were. And so when I saw the running time, I was like, okay, let's do this in a more leisurely fashion.
I mean, in a vacuum, Henry, could you imagine? I know it's Harry Potter, but taking the IP out of the equation, could you ever imagine yourself? We're talking on a podcast right now about a couple of 2.5 hour Chris Columbus movies.
That's the key there. Yeah, the Chris Columbus factor.
Good Lord.
I mean, because we've covered some long movies. I mean, notably Avengers, right? Those are
Chinatown. Is that even Chinatown? Chinatown, the most labyrinthine screenplay of all time, is not even close to as long as Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.
I mean, I think Batman versus Superman was pushing it.
Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice.
Right. That was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
But wow.
That was interminable. But, I mean, look.
These really are long. Yeah.
They're crazy. So, Henry, what is your history with the Harry Potter franchise?
Not much. I remember when the movies came out. I was already like 23, 22, 23, so I really could care less. I was well aware of all the hype around them.
A lot of hype.
Lot of hype. My mom was a big fan of the books.
Already when the movies came out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, she was on.
And she taught the books in school and had her kids read them.
How old were these kids?
Pretty cool. I think they were like 9 and 10 years old and something like that.
I guess you can read those first couple at that age.
Yeah, they might have been a little older, but I guess the point was just to have them reading something, like an in-depth novel, which was pretty cool. I think she was one of the only teachers in her district doing that.
A chapbook.
A what?
A chapbook. A chapter book.
Oh, okay. Yeah, right. Yeah, but so outside of that, I mean, I was in Pittsburgh at the time, and I was in college. They were just kind of like another phenomenon. Unlike, this is funny though, I guess I'll say this, unlike Lord of the Rings, which were around the same time, the movies, I went to see Lord of the Rings, and I had no interest in those either. But I guess there was a certain I don't know aspect of the Lord of the Rings that I thought would be more entertaining for me and less of a kids movie. But they're not.
Well, I totally agree with you there.
You know what I mean?
I was excited about Lord of the Rings. I remember.
No, I was too, but I didn't like I was not a fan of the books.
Well, but to me, I was just looking for I want another Star Wars. And that's what I thought this would be. They were selling it right away. There's a trilogy. It takes place in its own little world. I was like down for it. And I just remember going to see Fellowship of the Ring in theaters being like fucking pumped for it.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Not 30 seconds into the movie did they lose me.
Yeah, pretty much me too. And even though I saw all 3 of those in the theater, which is one of the mysteries of my
Not
existence.
me. I was smart. I was done after Fellowship, man. I didn't see
impressed.
those second and third until a lady made me watch it.
Right. I'm impressed with that because you were also a teenager at the time. I should have known better, but I just kept going.
They were big movies. You knew they were going to win Oscars and shit.
Yeah. But
I have a question. At the end of Return of the King, which is a god-awful movie, the Oscars decided, let's give it Best Picture to reward the full trilogy.
Right.
I mean, to me, the Harry Potter franchise is every bit as good as Lord of the Rings. Why did we not, I didn't hear anybody after Deathly Hallows Part 2 saying you gotta give it Best Picture.
Right, good point.
Come on.
I mean, probably because they're kids' movies and they're not Pixar.
They're ghettoized.
Yeah, and for my money, I am, as you know, I'm not into kids movies, and by all intents and purposes, these are kids movies.
Certainly, the first 2 are kids movies,
right? But these, I'll just
and
say,
frankly, the whole series, I think, are kids movies. Even when you get to the ones that are more adult books,
right?
Those movies, I think, are more kiddie.
Yeah. But I would say that. Without hesitation, I won't get into the ratings or anything like that yet. But these are better, much better than Lord of the Rings. Much better movies in every way. And I don't know, man. I don't get it.
You've never read a Harry Potter book?
No, and I never will. But it's not my thing. I don't read a lot of fiction. I'm a nonfiction guy, and I don't get it. I don't read any of that kind of youth literature. I never did. I didn't read the Hunger Games. I don't read.
Harry Potter is different. So,
but you were younger when they came out, so it made more sense.
Well, I'll tell you my story with that.
Yeah.
How many of the movies had you seen before?
I believe I'd seen 3 or 4 of them. I know I saw one in the theater in New York when I just moved there. So it might have been Azkaban that I saw in the theater, but I won't even know until I watch it. Really,
the Harry Potter words sound so foreign coming out of your mouth. Like you've never said any of these words out loud before in your entire life.
That's right. It's a completely new vocabulary to me.
It's so funny to me.
Yeah.
All right.
Did I say it right?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, mostly.
Kind of. Mostly. Yeah, so go ahead. What's your relationship with them? And it's much deeper than mine. You've even been on another show.
Okay, so I was already in the high school when the books got big, and so I ignored them. I was an angsty teen, Hank. I had no time for Harry Potter. Give me the new Chuck Palahniuk novel, please.
Right.
Can I read the new Neil Gaiman novel, please?
Sure.
That was me. So
I was reading Kafka in high school, so
I was reading Herman Hesse.
Yeah.
So
We're so smart.
I know. I ignored these. So the first book, I got a hold of that first one. I picked it up. I think I read like 20 pages, and I was like, "This kid shit, I'm out."
Okay.
And so I put it down. Then around the time the first movie was going to come out, I was doing a play. I was an actor, Henry.
Right.
A thespian.
Thespian, yeah.
So I was treading the boards, and what's the quickest way to Carnegie? Practice, practice, practice. And so I was in some play, and the director of the play was a Spanish teacher in my my school who was a white lesbian, and she said the second book is better than the first one, and it's a little more adult. Just you can skip the first one and just check out this second one. So I did that. I skipped the first book and got into the second one. This was around the time I think the fourth one was out. Mm-hmm. So it was going for a little bit. And so I read the second one, and she was a teacher I respected, so I gave it my all, and I loved it. And so I saw the first movie in theaters, not having read that entire book.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, so I didn't read the first book until later. I went back, maybe between the fifth and sixth books. I went back and read the first one, and but I got way into the books. I fucking loved them. The movies, I always liked them, and I saw them all in theaters, but I never went crazy with them. I had the first one on DVD, and I think I've rewatched the second and third ones somewhere along the line. But after that, I've never rewatched them.
Okay.
They were theaters only. Oh, but the books, I've reread all the fucking books. I love the books. Yeah.
Jesus.
The books are dynamite.
So you are hardcore,
big
really,
time,
dude.
big time. My favorite of the books is the fourth one, Goblet of Fire, which I remember not being my favorite movie. But yeah, I think 3, 4, and 5 of the book series, those are some of my favorite books ever written.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. And now, when you went on the podcast of the Real Weird Sisters, which movies did you cover?
So when I was on the Real Weird Sisters, which is another podcast about Harry Potter, that's fucking great, and you should listen to it. I mean, you, Henry, but also you, the listeners.
Well, I listened to that episode.
Oh, yeah. So I appeared on that podcast. They graciously invited me on to promote the franchise and to talk about just the second one. And it was a weird time in my life. I appeared on that podcast fresh out of the hospital, less than a week sober.
Oh, boy.
And
jeez.
Yeah, and so I remember being miserable watching that fucking movie, and the second movie at the time, and we'll find out if it still is, but was my least favorite of the movies. And so I was pretty fucking down on it on that podcast. So this is my first time rewatching it since that show, and so that's the one I've watched the most recently.
Okay.
And honestly, not enough time passed before this rewatch.
Well, no, I would imagine not. Yeah, I mean, especially for such a long movie.
So, that is a fucking 2.5-hour podcast just about that one movie, and we covered it scene by scene by scene.
Wow.
So if you want to hear my thoughts about literally every aspect of that fucking movie, go find that episode of The Real Weird Sisters.
Yeah, don't listen to this.
Yeah. So, but we'll cover it in less depth on this podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So your love of this really does run deep. Yeah.
Particularly the books. My love of the books, honestly, knows no bounds.
Well, that's great, because that also brings a different dynamic to this show then as well, because I'm the neophyte on this one. So
yeah. It's like Resident Evil or something.
Right. Very, cool. Very, very excellent short movie.
And we just did, Beverly Hills Cop, which was your wheelhouse. So
for sure.
Let's talk HP, gang.
All right.
Harry Potter. So should we dive into the first one here?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So of course, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. It is known as Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone in other parts of the country. They published the book.
The country or the world?
The world. They published the book as Sorcerer's Stone in America because they thought American kids are dumber, and they're probably right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, David Heyman is a producer of some note. He bought the rights to the Harry Potter series in 1999 for a cool $2 million.
And that's only a couple of years after the first book came out.
Right, and $2 million is fucking nothing.
Right.
So, but one of the things he agreed to was J.K. Rowling has like some creative control. Oh, not full creative control.
I was surprised though, a lot.
Yeah, she has to like approve the scripts and the directors and
the actors.
And her one big thing was she wanted all the actors to be English or Irish or Scottish, I guess.
Right.
And so that's the way they went. So originally, Warner Brothers wanted Steven Spielberg to direct it, and J.K. Rowling was like, "Yeah, fine." But what he wanted to do was to make it animated and to include elements of all the books. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so he didn't just want to do an adaptation of the first book.
Right.
I think he wanted to do more like what that Lemony Snicket movie did, which I think they took like elements of the first 3 books and crammed them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he wanted Haley Joel Osment to be the voice of Harry Potter.
Okay. Sure.
All right.
Sure.
So not British.
AI. Right.
Yeah, he was obsessed with Haley Joel Osment at the time. He saw Sixth Sense and he fell in love. And I gotta say, you fickle piece of shit, Steven Spielberg, Haley Joel Osment, as far as I know, is a working actor right now. He's an adult. He's still very good. I don't see him showing up in your fucking movies.
Yeah, he's done with him.
Yeah, give adult Haley Joel some fucking work.
That was a short-lived bromance.
Holy shit. Yeah. So ultimately, Spielberg dropped out and made AI. That's what he did instead of Harry Potter. And J.K. Rowling wanted Terry Gilliam to direct the movie, which would have been interesting.
Yeah.
I think he could have done a good job. Warner Brothers was looking at Alan Parker. Yeah, I know. It's an odd choice, but...
Adrian Lyne.
Yeah. Mississippi Burning's Alan Parker. And their other big suggestion was Brad Silberling, who had recently had a big hit for Warner Brothers with City of Angels.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, great movie.
Great movie.
Great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Great...
They could have had Nicolas Cage play Dumbledore, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But they end up going with Christopher Columbus. He sailed the ocean blue, and here he is directing this movie. We've covered Chris Columbus, Henry.
Home Alone?
Yeah, he directed Home Alone and Home Alone 2, Lost in New York.
Okay.
Do you have his filmography open?
No, but I can do that
I would
quickly.
love it if you could do it.
Yep. You having phone issues?
Lost my phone.
Oh.
But anyway, I know he got his start in the 80s as a writer.
Yeah, I have it here.
He wrote Gremlins and The Goonies.
That's right.
So that sort of made his career. Then he became a director. His first film is Adventures in Babysitting.
Correct.
Oh my God! Off the top of my head, Henry. Let's see how deep I can go. Did he direct Heartbreak Ridge?
Heartbreak Hotel.
Heartbreak Hotel.
Heartbreak Ridge, the Eastwood joint.
Yeah. Heartbreak Hotel. And then his third movie's Home Alone.
Right.
Okay. Then does he do Home Alone 2 right after that? No. He does Only the Lonely with John Candy.
Which I love.
Okay.
I love that movie.
I've never seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's one of my favorite John Candy movies. It's great.
Then Home Alone 2, Lost in New York. This is off the top of my head, Henry.
I'm very impressive. I could never do this with this guy.
Does he follow that up with 9 Months?
He does.
The Hugh Grant joint.
Right.
Give me a hint on the next one.
Yeah, you're going to need it.
No, I don't.
Susan.
No, I don't. It's Stepmom.
Oh!
All right.
Damn, dude.
He does Stepmom. Sappy piece of shit. Some people like it. You know, Julia Roberts, she's still at like her most charming. So I think she like blinds people to how bad that movie is.
For sure.
And then after that, he has a big flop. Big budget flop with Bicentennial Man.
There you go.
Okay. And that brings us to HP, right?
Wow.
Okay.
Yes.
So he does the first 2 Harry Potter movies. He is then credited as a producer on the whole franchise.
Okay.
So he's making big money.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't know that he directed Rent.
Yeah, he followed up Harry Potter. That was like his passion project. He did Rent with the original Broadway cast, and they were all like 35 when they did it, playing the like 20-year-old characters. And that movie's a goddamn mess. But I guess if you like Rent, like it's whatever.
Right.
I like some of the cast of Rent. I just think that fucking show sucks.
It's awful.
Yeah. But I'll fuck with Anthony Rapp and Adam Pascal and Dino Menzel.
I think I've said this before, but I had to see that show 16 times because
you were working.
Yeah, I was an usher at the symphony. And
it's garbage, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was intolerable garbage.
It's garbage. You know, I recently rewatched a movie from the 80s called Parting Glances. It's an early indie film. It's Steve Buscemi's first film role.
Wow.
The writer-director of it, it's his only movie because he passed away of AIDS after the movie came out. And it is a goddamn masterpiece. I remember it as being like a 4, and that shit's a 5. And I'm going to maybe pop it on my 86 list next time we do it. But anyway, to me, if you like Rent and you want like a fucking movie that's actually great with the same themes as Rent, watch that.
Okay, interesting.
All right.
I do want to point out one of his early writing credits was one of my earliest movie memories ever. I remember it, young Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
My sister took me to that movie. I would have been 7 years old, and I don't think I ever saw it since, but I remember it making a big impression when I was 7.
All right. A young Sherlock.
Yes, and a young Henry.
Is that a remake of Sherlock Jr., the Buster Keaton film?
No idea.
All right. So he then, after Rent, he took like a few years off, right? And he did I Love You, Beth Cooper.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
Which is based on a novel, a YA novel that I think is really, really good, recommended to me by my friend Victoria Adams, shout out. And the movie's not very good, but it does have Paul Rust in it, and he's great. So, and then he did Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Right.
And I've never seen that. And has he done anything since then?
Pixels.
He did the fucking Adam Sandler movie, Pixels.
Yeah. And he's got a few things on the horizon.
In the pipeline?
Like 4 movies.
All right. Well, he's always working, that Chris Columbus. But I think after Harry Potter, he made a lot of money off Harry Potter. And his directing career kind of fell off the rails.
Right. Yeah.
All right.
It seems that way.
Let's talk about the Sorcerer's Stone. It came out December 7th, 2001. All right?
Yeah.
No, it did not.
No.
I'm looking at a different movie. It's November 16th, 2001. Right after 9/11, Henry. I think the world needed a Harry Potter.
I think they did.
Yeah.
I also remember a memory that I just bring up quickly. I also remember definitely.
Do you think Meryl Streep saw Harry Potter to ease her fears about 9/11?
I'm surprised she doesn't show. Oh, she can't show up in these movies. She's American.
That's right. Good point.
That's right. Yeah. I remember when it came out, though, being very confused when I saw like clips of it or whatever, and then I would simultaneously in theaters see clips for Lord of the Rings, and then there'd be like Gandalf and Dumbledore and the actors playing them, and I was so confused, and they seemed so similar. And then even when I watched this movie, I was like, now, who is going to play Dumbledore? Who's the guy that they got?
That never bothered me, man.
No, it doesn't bother me. It was just confusing. And
I never found that confusing. I was way more confused at the time about Christopher Lee playing basically the same character in both Lord of the Rings and Star Wars.
That too. Yeah. That too. Thank you for bringing that up. That's the third one. That's why I was so confused. There was like 3 franchises at once that had like this similar bearded wizard, and I was just like, what the fuck am I no idea. And then I was happy that it was
Dumbledore, Professor Dooku, who cares?
Right. But when I saw it was Richard Harris, just love Richard Harris.
Yeah.
So great.
Very late Richard Harris performances.
Yeah, very.
By the third one, he's dead and gone.
Yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So This was you might guess, a big hit. A budget of $125 million, box office of $974.8 million. It was at the time, I think, like the number 3 movie in England in history. It broke the single day record, like for most money in one day.
Wow.
It beat Phantom Menace, and then the next day it broke its own record.
Jesus.
Yeah. And it was the number 1 opening weekend of all time up until Spider-Man beat it the next year.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Nominated for a couple. Oh, it's the number 37 movie of all time as of right now, just under The Dark Knight.
Really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay. I didn't know The Dark Knight dropped that much.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, man. It's.
I mean, it makes sense at this point. Yeah.
So, it was nominated for 3 Oscars.
Oh.
Do we have a theme for that?
Yeah, we might need to. We can hit that. Let me pull it up here.
Please do.
One sec. Yeah.
Wow. Holy, that fanfare is very exciting.
Yes, it riles up the blood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was it lost all 3. It did not win an Oscar, but it was nominated for Best Score, Henry. Yeah.
We'll get into that.
Lost to Howard Shore for The Fellowship of the Ring.
Oh, that okay. I don't like that.
All right, and it was it lost both Best Art Direction and Best Costume Design to a little movie that we were obsessed with at the time. Not you and I. Well, you. Whatever. Fucking Moulin Rouge.
Obsessed is a little strong, but yes. Nicole Kidman, yes.
People were way into that fucking movie.
Yeah, they were.
All right. And hey, let's do our 2001 list real quick, and then we'll get into the movie.
All right. 2001. All right, my number 10 is Ocean's 11.
Yeah, that's my number 10 also.
Oh. My number 9 is Tape.
My number 9 is The Man Who Wasn't There.
Honorable mention for me. My number 8 is The Gray Zone.
Right. My number 8 is Tape.
My number 7 is In the Bedroom.
My number 7 is Gosford Park.
My number 6 is The Score.
My number 6 is Vanilla Sky.
Oh
boy.
Heavy hitters.
These are the grand slams, the hat tricks, the three-pointers, the puck when the
puck gets close to the circle. These are the heavy hitters of the franchise.
Heavy hitters. All right, what's your number 5?
Training Day.
My number 5 is In the Mood for Love.
My number 4 is The Piano Teacher.
Really?
It's a great movie.
No, I have that on my 2002 list, I think.
I
think it came out in America in 2002, Hank.
Well, hey, dude. It's a foreign film. That's hard to pinpoint.
All right, you'll be loving that on my 2002 list. My number 4 is Ghost World.
That's my number 3.
My number 3 is Wet Hot American Summer.
My number 2 is Vanilla Sky.
My number 2 is Mulholland Drive.
My number 1 movie is The Royal Tenenbaums.
Yeah, mine too. Okay, and so let's take a trip over from Mulholland Drive to Privet Drive, ladies and gentlemen. That's right, because that's where Dumbledore is dropping off a baby Harry Potter fresh off an assassination attempt.
That's right.
This franchise starts with a motherfucker trying to murder a baby.
It does.
It's awesome. I fucking love Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's a dark. You know what it does, and it handles it. I don't know, if it's Rowling or Chris Columbus for that matter. It handles like dark material in like a light way.
Yeah.
But there's like a few moments in both movies that are rather disturbing.
Yes.
And especially the second one. And I'm just I'm looking at it like, wow, this is more disturbing to me than I would think it is. Even they're kind of throwaway moments. We'll get to them because I think 2 of the ones I'm thinking of are in the second one.
I'll say, just right up front, the movies to me could never equal the books because there's a tone established in the books that I don't really think you could replicate. And it's a tone of flippancy where everything is normalized already. In movies, you have to make these big moments set pieces.
Right.
And that's not what we do in the books. Everything is described very matter-of-factly over the course of however many pages, and I love that about the books. It really takes you into the world.
I got to ask you a key question, something that the debate that goes on forever and has been going on and will always go on, but I have a very specific view of this, but not having read the book. What is your stance specifically on Harry Potter in terms of
specifically on Harry Potter?
Like from book
I would 100% like them more if I had never read the books. Because look, the movies are insanely.
But you separate, right?
I absolutely do. The movies are insanely faithful to the books in terms of plot points and keeping everything in there, to a fault, I'll say. And I think. Like Roger Ebert gave these first two Harry Potter movies 4 stars apiece.
Yeah.
And I totally get that, because if I was experiencing this world for the first time as a viewer watching these movies, I think I'd be blown the fuck away, because every idea is good and every character is good and everything works. But to me, having read the books, the movies just don't stack up. And, it's the reverse of how I felt. You remember how fucking blown away I was by those first 2 Hunger Games movies.
Yeah,
it's because I never read the books. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, so that's like a different tactic to come from, which I understand. That's totally valid. Yeah, that's the difference between saying, oh, they could never compare to the books, which I never buy that argument. Going back to Clockwork Orange or something.
Well, when you have a real artist,
different mediums.
When you have a real artist developing,
that'll make what's his face happy.
Stephen King.
No, different mediums. Who's the guy? Was it Delicious Cheese? Who said you and me didn't know the genre and medium, which I loved.
I don't
because he was right.
I think if you have a real artist adapting a book, then it's really easy for me to look at them as just totally separate entities. I brought up Chuck Palahniuk earlier. I love the Fight Club book. I love the Fight Club movie.
Me too.
The Little Children, I think, is a good example of a book I love, and I love the movie on a whole different level. The Harry Potter movies, especially in the early going, are so just trying to translate the books into movies, and it ends up losing some of the naturalism that the books have.
Do you think that some of that has to do with the fact that Chris Columbus is not necessarily like an artiste, like a Terry Gilliam?
Sure, but then watching the further movies, where I really do feel that David Yates and especially Alfonso Cuarón are artists, but it still is forced to treat the material in terms of set pieces because it's a big budget movie. And
well, it's interesting you said the set pieces thing, because I will say right now that the most enjoyable parts of this movie for me were, and this goes for the second one mostly, were not the action sequences.
I mean, same here. The character stuff is the stuff that's
better,
always worked best for me.
Better. I just didn't, the Quidditch match. I guess
in the
was supposed
books,
to be a big deal.
In the books, they weave the big moments into character. Everything's based in character in the books. Honestly, like if you really wanted to capture the tone of the books, you'd get like Nicole Holofcener to direct the movies or something. But they're just not gonna fucking do that.
Right. Yeah, right. But I guess I guess it's interesting because I guess when I saw this first movie, it was probably 2005 when I saw it first. So I guess the special effects were also still pretty good. And watching it now,
most of the special effects hold up. Every so often, there's one that is garbage.
Right.
And it's usually like the rendered characters. I'm talking about like the big troll in the first one.
Right.
Or
That's right.
the snakes.
That's right. But I never really mind that because I always take into consideration the time it was made. And you can always throw up that bulwark of terrible effects, which is the Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones. and these look fantastic compared to those effects.
Well, there's a lot more practical effects. Like, I was impressed with Chris Columbus that, like, you know, like the basilisk in the second one is a lot of CGI, but then in the close-ups, you can tell he's using models.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, wait, can we talk about the first fucking movie?
Yeah,
I feel like we're all over the place.
So a baby dies. I mean, almost.
Baby does not die. He gets a scar of a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
Pretty cool scar.
Pretty cool.
And so he gets raised by the Dursleys. You know, just the worst of the worst humanity has to offer. The Dursleys.
I was glad we got out of there as soon as we did.
Yeah, but I do like the performances. Like,
no, they're good. I mean, they
very fairy tale and like Wicked stepmother kind of a thing.
Absolutely,
but
sure.
Richard Griffiths and I think especially Fiona Shaw are great.
Yeah, she's excellent.
I love Fiona Shaw, dude. I rewatched a oh god, this is embarrassing. I watched a movie recently where Fiona Shaw was the villain, and she was like by far the best part of the movie.
Oh yeah, what one?
A little movie called Undercover Blues. All right.
My memory of Fiona Shaw's I'm not embarrassed about, and that is she's the teacher of Christy Brown in My Left Foot.
That's right. That's a real early performance.
That's what I know her from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
So it's Harry's birthday, which, you know, it means it's July 31st, my birthday.
Right. It's somebody else's birthday. That's right.
And but it's Dudley's birthday too. Is that right? Do they have the same birthday?
I don't know. That was confusing.
Someone tell me that.
Yeah, right.
So Dudley's their fat son, and they give him a shit ton of presents. He wants to go to the zoo. They take him to the zoo, and at the zoo, Harry's pissed off, and he accidentally, with magic, makes Dudley fall into the snake pit.
Yeah.
Great Cure song. And
or Slash's Snake Pit.
Oh, a great
saw them
band.
live.
A great band. You saw Slash's Snake Pit live?
They opened for AC/DC.
Good heavens!
Yeah, so I didn't watch it. I went out.
Was Slash up front? Was he wearing the hat?
They were terrible. Yeah, god awful. I didn't watch them. I went out.
Yeah.
I actually really liked that sequence in the zoo, and I really liked the touch of when the snake gets out and he just says thanks.
Okay, I could do without that.
I loved it.
Okay.
See, 'cause as a viewer and not knowing anything at all, I just thought it was cool. I thought it was really neat. I liked it.
I do like it because it's a little foreshadowy, which I appreciate. Because in the second book we find out that Harry's a parcel mouth, so he can talk to snakes.
Glad you're here. Yeah.
But I mean, it's just a little silly.
Oh, absolutely.
He goes,
but
thanks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, of course it's a little, but I mean, of course it's silly. But I mean, I don't know how to use that adjective. How do you use that in this movie? Without,
I know what you mean. The whole Enterprise is a little silly, but it's a fine line, and maybe that crosses my line or something.
Interesting. I don't know that I have a line for these movies yet. I don't know that I do.
We'll find you a line, baby.
Yeah. It may come.
Yeah. So ultimately, he starts getting these letters from owls. And they want to enroll him in the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. He finds out that his parents were witches and wizards, and the family loses their fucking minds over this. Uncle Dursley, like what? He takes them out to this fucking weird island. Where the hell are they?
I don't know.
They're like living in a lighthouse or some shit.
They went to Shutter Island or something.
Yeah, it's totally
DiCaprio
weird.
Up there getting a lobotomy.
Yeah,
very strange.
And
yeah.
there's
their summer
it's
house.
like a dark and stormy night and shit.
That's what the I guess that's what the where you go to the beach when you live in Britain. I don't know.
Who knows what you do in England? Well, you know what you do? You go to like one of the Canary Islands or something.
You go to Brixton Beach.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
They really don't want him to go to this place as much as they hate him. I found that a little...
Well, they're very racist towards witches and wizards. They call them freaks and shit.
Right, a little X-Men stuff going on there.
It is totally X-Men, yeah. But you know what is really interesting is I like the reverse of it is treated like in X-Men, like Magneto is treated just like as a straight up villain for like hating humanity or whatever. And I like that there's this more subtle element in Harry Potter where some wizards just think like humans are shitty. Like they're or like and half human, half wizards are mudbloods and shit.
Right.
So it's more of just like a straight up element of like pure racism.
Yeah, it's reciprocal. Yeah.
Like Trump supporters are totally Voldemort supporters.
Well, that's of course.
Like MAGA are the Death Eaters.
Obviously.
Big time.
Obviously, dude. I mean, come on. They don't know that, but they are.
Sorry, gang, if you're still listening.
Yeah. I doubt it.
I feel like we've thrown away all semblance of like political.
I do not care.
I don't care either. Okay, Henry Hagrid shows up. It's Robbie Coltrane from Nuns on the Run, and
right.
That's what I know him from.
That's right.
He's a giant.
He's a giant.
And he's got a big beard and he talks like grumbly. And he you're a wizard, Harry. That's my favorite moment in the entire movie. That to me is iconic as fuck.
When he just tells him that
you're a wizard, Harry. Yeah. It's great.
Yeah.
And Robbie Coltrane's dynamite. Like, to me, up to this point in the movie, and Hagrid doesn't show up until, like, a good half hour into the movie or something.
Right.
Because we're just doing every fucking word for word, like the book.
Right.
And Hagrid, Robbie Coltrane is just dynamite. He's perfect casting. And, I mean, this is the first character that shows up that changed the way. You know how we talk about comic book movies when like someone's so good that I start reading the comic book character in their voice?
Sure.
In rereads of the books, Hagrid has become Robbie Coltrane's.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I could see that.
Sure.
I imagine Harry Potter is Daniel Radcliffe now.
To a degree. Not really. Honestly.
Interesting.
Like, Ron and Hermione are way more Ron and Hermione in my mind. The Harry is still, to some degree, the Harry I imagined when I first read the books.
Okay. All right.
Not that I'm knocking Daniel Radcliffe.
Right. No.
They hired these, like, young actors in, like, an open casting call, and they're all really good. Like, Daniel Radcliffe, I feel like, really honed his craft and gets better as the movies go along. But, like, Emma Watson is fucking dynamite.
Yeah, she is.
From, like, moment one that she shows up.
I agree.
I think Rupert Grint kind of improves, too, but he's playing such, like, an outsized comic character in the first couple movies that, like, he just works for me, too.
He works better in the first one for me.
I totally agree. And you know why that is? I'll just say this right now. No, I'll save it. I'll save it until we talk about this.
Okay. Yeah.
But I have a reason for thinking that. And it's not totally Rupert Grint's fault. Anyway, Hagrid takes Harry and opens him up to this world. He takes him to Diagon Alley where he buys, they go to Gringotts and that's the bank. And we get fucking goblins for the second week in a row.
That was nice. Yeah.
How about that?
That was cool.
Warwick Davis.
Yeah.
And,
right.
And Mini-Me.
Oh, is he in it too?
Yeah, he's one of the goblins.
All right. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the late Mini-Me. All right, the late great Mini-Me. Do you think Vern Troyer will be in the in memoriam at the Oscars this year?
I mean, they should.
I think he should be there.
He was part of a big cultural sweep of
huge.
Austin
you mean the Love Guru? Oh, Austin Powers, right. So So they head in there, and then they go get him a wand over there at Ollivander's, where we get a really sweet John Hurt scene.
Oh man,
Yeah,
that fucking guy.
he's dynamite.
He's just so good.
The older cast is filled out by, I mean, it almost flawlessly cast with
Top
just,
of the line,
like
man.
amazing British actors,
Yeah,
and it
top
and
of
it,
the line.
and it keeps going as the movies pass. Yeah, we get John Hurt, and then he has to go to what platform? He gets an owl. All right, Hedwig.
No, right.
And his little dick. And he's angry.
What?
And-
Oh, right. I was
So-
waiting for that joke. Yeah.
And so I just always wish that movie was called Hedwig and the Little Dick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So then we head over to platform 9 3/4.
Right.
All right, that's like the train station, and he meets the Weasleys, and
We see Julie Walters again.
Julie Walters. What did we see her in recently?
Mamma Mia.
Okay, before the before the only British people clause. Do you know who was originally in the running to play Mrs. Weasley?
I don't. I think I read it, but I don't remember.
They were looking at Rosie O'Donnell.
Jeez.
I would have loved that, dude.
That would have been a little jarring, I think.
All right, listen, kid. You just go right through platforms 9 and 10, all right? Just get in through there. Fuck Trump. I want to fuck Tom Cruise. Wait, no, I don't. All right? Now, you get on the Hogwarts Express, and you better fucking get to the school, all right? If you try to take any flying cars, I'm putting a fucking boot up your ass.
Maybe I would have liked it. I don't know. Yeah. Would have been a different feel.
It would have been very weird to have
Yeah.
the great Rosie O'Donnell, the dominatrix from Exit to Eden,
I remember
or
that.
Buster Poindexter's wife from Car 54, Where Are You? Some of her classic film roles.
Madonna's baseball friend in League of Their Own.
That's right. Betty, what's the
Who?
last name? Slate? Betty, Barney, Rubble.
Oh,
Betty Rubble.
right,
Betty
right.
Rubble.
Betty Rubble.
Of course,
Right.
I should have been thinking in the Rock family.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
All right.
Yeah. So they run through the wall.
They run through the wall. That's a cool moment. I like the effect. And they get onto the Hogwarts Express there. Harry's got all this money, so he buys like Ron some chocolate and candy and shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I like that scene. You know what I was talking about with like the flippancy everything's described in the novel?
Yeah.
The moment in the movie where he opens up the chocolate frog and it's like it's a card of Albus Dumbledore.
Right.
And then he like the picture of him disappears from the card and Ron says, "Well, you can't expect him to stick around all day."
Right.
That captured a little bit of what I'm talking about.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So that's delivered in the book as like a drier type of thing.
Well, I mean, everything is dry in the book.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
great. So then Hermione shows up about 40 minutes in. It's too long.
Yeah.
You gotta get me on the Hogwarts Express by minute 20, I think. All right?
Well, that's what I said. I was happy to be out of, Earth 1 at that point. It
Sure.
was nice
Into
to
the
get on
wizarding
train.
world.
Yeah, it was nice to get on the train at that point. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Hermione's already great in that scene. You know, when she they introduce themselves to her and she goes, "Pleasure."
Yeah.
She overpronunciates her and you've got dirt there. Did you know?
Yeah, she's got a nice delivery, Emma Watson. Like that's a character that could really just be annoying and a pain in the ass.
Oh, 100%. If
she's not, and I
you've
think the
got
actor-
too precocious an actress in that role, you
like
fucked.
Dakota Fanning or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Just overdone it. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Emma Watson toes the line. She's a good actress, and I know she's doing well in terms of box office now because of Beauty and the Beast. I did not see that movie, but I have like high hopes for Emma Watson's career. I think she could have like a good like Amy Adams career going for her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I'm really looking forward to that fucking Greta Gerwig Little Women movie.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I won't see that, but yes.
Why not?
I'm not interested.
That's because you haven't seen Lady Bird yet.
It's on my queue.
After you see Lady Bird, you'll want to see everything she ever makes.
I like Greta Gerwig. I've seen quite a few of her things. So yeah, no,
Doesn't matter. She's an auteur now.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, when I first heard that she was doing Little Women, I was like, I kind of don't. I'm not interested because like I liked Lady Bird so much. I want to see her do more like autobiographical shit.
Yeah.
That being said, has there really? Like Little Women's a good book, and like there hasn't really been a definitive version of Little Women. Like,
well, I didn't read the book, but that movie with Winona Ryder, everyone points
that's
to that.
a pretty good movie. But I think the right filmmaker could top it. And after seeing Lady Bird, I think Greta Gerwig's the right filmmaker for just about anything.
All right, well, you'll see it, and then you tell me how it is.
No. All right.
Not going.
Would you see fucking Lady Bird?
It's on my queue, dude. I have First Reformed at my house right now.
Lady Bird came out first. You should go in order of when things come out.
I don't give a shit. You made it sound like First Reformed was a...
That's the movie of the year.
Right. So, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Okay. Where are we?
Hank.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. Oh, we're on the Hogwarts
train,
Express, bro.
We can get off the train.
Yeah. So we get off the train. The shot of them taking the boats with the lanterns in them up to the castle is the best shot in the movie.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we get the Sorting Hat, who's my favorite character.
Great. Yeah. I like that.
Talking Hat. The design of it is perfect. It's maybe my favorite design work in the movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? Just because like
because it's a far-fetched thing. It's the kind of thing like reading about the fucking talking hat in the book. I like, what do you even picture?
Right. And they kind of didn't like give it features, but they did.
Yeah.
Like with shadows. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I agree. Cool. That was cool. It was cool.
And the voice of it's great.
Yeah, I agree. Who was that? Was that anybody special or no?
I don't think so. Doesn't Toby Jones... Oh, that's in the next one. No, I don't remember who does the voice for the Sorting Hat, but it's fucking great. I made it, and it's not Frank Welker. If you listen to the Real Weird Sisters 30 Rock episode, I tried to do the voice of the Sorting Hat, and it sounds ridiculous, but it was fun.
Can I hear a little snippet of that here?
Sure. It's like, Gryffindor!
Yeah. It sounds a little bit like the guy I got to do the BAFTA theme.
It does sound like that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, so Harry gets up there and he's like, and Harry's whispering to himself, "Not Slytherin," because that's like the evil kids, or whatever.
Right.
And so the Hat's like, "Oh, but you do quite well there." Oh, and Harry's like, "Please, Gryffindor," and Gryffindor. Well, sure, all right. It better be Gryffindor. And
caves in rather easily, this Hat.
He does, because I think like Harry could go either way. He's like overly ambitious like a Slytherin, but he's brave as shit like a Gryffindor.
Right, and that was something. So as a viewer, not without the books too, I assumed. And from all I've heard, it's impossible to avoid hearing about this stuff. But, Slytherin are the bad guys. But then, of course, so I'm watching the movie, and I'm wondering why this Hogwarts Academy would even have. I know one of them was a founder, a Slytherin, but why, given all the backstory, would there even be a House of Slytherin?
It's not that they're villains. The Slytherin group are all just very single-minded and ambitious and self-oriented.
Got it.
Which ultimately leads to villains, but I mean that's not necessarily the way they're supposed to be. I mean Severus Snape is I don't want to spoil anything.
Don't spoil anything.
He's like a bit of a black and white character.
Yeah, he's very cool. The great Alan Rickman.
Yeah, he's the best casting in the entire franchise.
Oh, really?
He's so fucking good. In this, my favorite moment in the entire first movie is Alan Rickman. asking the kids like why they're walking around the corridors, and the way he delivers this line so slow, like owning every word, and he just goes, "People might think you're up to something." Oh man, just dripping. I love it.
He's great.
So whatever. What happens next, Henry?
We are bludgeoned to death with John Williams throughout the movie.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about that. There's a lot of it's it's funny because I really like the score. Like,
I like
taken
the
on
main
its own
theme.
Taken on its own merits, I think the music is good. I like the main theme. I like Hedwig's theme. In the second movie, I think the Phoenix theme is really dynamite. But at least in these first two movies, it is just constantly playing.
Yeah, it never stops.
Yeah.
Ever. I mean, I guess I get it, but at the same time, I didn't find it necessary. Like,
it's not necessary.
Yeah, I always find that, if music is going to play continuously, it should either be an enhancer of an already good movie, just like another aspect, or not even character, if you will, or it's trying to compensate for a bad movie.
Yeah.
And this is not a bad movie, and it doesn't need to be propelled, and it's not enhanced by constant music. So I don't know, especially like during the Quidditch match and stuff. I mean,
oh my God, the fucking Quidditch match. The Quidditch is a great invention of the novel, and I understand why they wanted to depict it on the screen. The special effects are very impressive, but I mean, at the time they were.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's just the books need like an extracurricular subplot, and so like the story of like Harry, playing in his dad's footsteps, being on the Gryffindor Quidditch team is really nice. But the Quidditch storylines very rarely tie into the central storylines of the books, and so like if something's got to go, get the fuck rid of Quidditch. I understand wanting to have it in the first movie, but I don't need any Quidditch in Chamber of Secrets.
Yeah, and it's something to touch upon too. And I realized when I watched it, it's really not something that bothered me as much as I thought it was going to bother me, which was Rowling's complete reliance on. And I'm not saying they're not original at all, but her reliance upon like all the mythologies, Greek mythology. I mean, some of them are veiled, some of them are just right up there. You got Cerberus, the three-headed dog.
Yeah.
You get a centaur. And that was interesting to me. But I was a little lighter, easier on it because it's the same shit that Tolkien does. I mean, everybody borrows from that kind of stuff. I thought that it would bug me more to constantly kind of see these tropes that have already been written.
Some of that bothers me.
Yeah,
because honestly, J.K. Rowling is such a fucking brilliant mind that I more like when she invents concepts out of whole cloth because she's really fucking good at that.
Well, I do wish that she had, because I mean it is bizarre to watch the sequence with the three-headed dog and just be like, I mean
who really cares? The three-headed
dog.
dog.
It's not original. So, but it's supposed to be this. It's very cool, but it's just kind of like no one. I mean, obviously,
the original part of it is that it's basically like a house pet, but it's a giant, fierce three-headed dog.
I get it, but
I to
come
me,
up with something different.
What bothered me more. What bothers me more is some of the other stuff. The troll sequence is really bad CGI, and I understand why it's there. It's to get Hermione to be more a part of the group, but I don't need it. And here's a question, Henry.
Yeah.
Is the Forbidden Forest sequence the ghost blowjob of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone? You go into the Forbidden Forest, all right? And the movie's been imaginative as fuck the entire movie. And all of a sudden, there's like a unicorn. There's unicorn blood.
Right. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
And then a fucking centaur shows up and starts chatting with them.
Yeah.
It is stupid.
That was actually, by the way, the worst CGI for me.
That CGI is garbage.
Yeah. I mean, That's what I mean. Like, I guess I just surrendered myself to it and didn't just stop being a cranky old critic about it, because it's like, all right, whatever. This is who she came up with. I'm not going to change that. It's fine. But you are right. I think when
you only
there's something,
need the centaur in the movie because that character comes back later on in the series.
Well, why a centaur and claim it as your own?
I mean, she's not claiming it as her own, but
well, she doesn't call it a centaur. I mean, I don't understand. That's
no. The books refer to them as centaurs.
Oh, they do.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, well, they don't in the movie, so there you go. And so, but I have actually a question about Quidditch, if you don't mind.
Please.
Yes, it's a game. It's a rule thing. I'm trying to figure out.
Listen, I know what you're gonna say.
Okay, well, hold on. Maybe you do, because it continues in the second movie, and my question was still not answered.
I have a question about Quidditch too. It drives me nuts.
All right, well, maybe it's the same thing. Mine is, if the goal of Quidditch is to catch the little gold ball, then what is the purpose of ever throwing the bigger balls through the hoops?
Here's the deal.
It doesn't matter how many points you score.
No,
if you
it
get
does.
The
It
ball,
does,
it's
Henry.
over.
Henry, when you catch the golden snitch, the game is over. Okay,
right.
And you get 150 points
for your school or for the game, because I noticed that's a thing too.
Oh God, no! This has nothing to do with the House Cup.
Okay, so you get 150 points. All right,
for the game. And so the goal with the quaffles and whatever, they if you get to be over 150 points more than the other team, then even if they catch the golden snitch and end the game, you still win.
Oh,
but
okay.
You only get like 10 points per goal, and they have like goalies.
Right.
I think beaters, they're called, covering the goals. So, like, how many fucking goals are you going to score before that golden snitch is caught?
So it's never going to happen. We'd be watching like a 19-hour Quidditch match.
I think it's one of the things where in school version of Quidditch,
version?
Like in the Hogwarts Quidditch.
Okay.
The golden snitch team is going to win every time. I think there's probably more strategy involved when you actually branch out to the professional Quidditch leagues. You laugh, but there is a 100-page sequence of the fourth book that takes place at the Quidditch World Cup.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Oh. Whew. Wow. That would be tough.
No, it's great.
Okay. Well, yeah, so she takes basically what? It's like soccer, lacrosse, hockey, and mixes them all together.
Soccer. Now, look, it's a stupid game, I think, Quidditch. But, you've got to imagine that it's just like in the real world where, there's probably other wizard sports, and and American wizards play way better sports. For some reason, the rest of the world is obsessed with this really shitty sport, Quidditch. But I would think that American wizards are playing a way better sport.
Oh.
Yeah, maybe a couple of them.
I see what you're saying. So you're saying like the rest of the world is into soccer, Quidditch, and the other parts and the Americans play like, race ball, baseball, and football.
But I've got to imagine the secret best.
Blocky.
I got to imagine the secret best wizard game originated in Canada.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's Quidditch.
Yeah. So that's Quidditch. Okay. So we get so they break in. They have to find the Sorcerer's Stone before they think Snape is looking for it, like evil Snape.
Right.
Turns
out,
and
I didn't know. I mean, I had a pretty strong suspicion it wasn't him. It seemed like a pretty good MacGuffin, especially Alan Rickman being cast in it.
I was surprised because you'll remember I saw this movie before I read the book. And the reveal that it is the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, Professor Quirrell, took me by surprise. I didn't necessarily think it was going to be Snape, but I didn't have him pegged either.
Me neither.
And
me neither.
And so I really enjoyed that twist. And
yeah, so did I.
And if you go back and rewatch the movie, knowing the twist, it is really wonderfully set up 100 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Yeah, because they meet him. He first meets him like in that like bar type of thing, right?
That's right. Yeah, and you know why he's in that fucking bar, because he's gonna turn out to be the villain of the movie, and we're not gonna get to Hogwarts till the 40-minute mark, and you need to introduce your villain before that.
Ah,
yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
We do get Hagrid describing Voldemort to Harry in the Leaky Cauldron at one point, and
yeah.
I like that scene quite a bit. You know what the best moment in that scene is?
What's the Leaky Cauldron again?
That's that bar /
okay, all right.
motel or inn or
whatever. Yeah.
And so I love the moment where it's one of my favorite moments in the movie where Harry wants Hagrid to say the name Voldemort, and Hagrid says, like, you're not supposed to say the name. And
right.
Harry goes, can't you write it down? And without missing a beat, Hagrid just goes, no, I can't spell it. Great moment.
Yeah. It was cool. You reminded me of it. I didn't remember it. Yeah. I was surprised too at the end. Not only I didn't think that this would be revealed so soon that you would actually see Voldemort.
Now, here's an interesting thing.
Because I remember Ralph Fiennes for some reason. Whatever one I saw, I remember him.
Then you've seen up to the fourth one, because I think he makes his first appearance in the fourth one.
Well, there you go then. Yeah, so that must have been the one I saw in theaters, I guess. So I didn't think this guy would make an appearance at all yet.
It's really weird because
I was a little disappointed, to be honest.
Quirrell takes his turban off.
Yeah.
And reveals Voldemort on the back of his head, which is very shocking and kind of disturbing. It's like fucking body horror.
Yeah, it totally is. It's Cronenberg.
Yeah. And but the weird thing about it is it doesn't look like Ralph Fiennes.
Not at all.
And they didn't have a nose on Ralph Fiennes. They gave him like a snake nose.
I remember that.
And this guy's got a very defined nose. And here's my question, Henry. Would you support a George Lucas style special edition of Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone that popped Ralph Fiennes on the back of Quirrell's head? I think I would.
Yeah, go for it.
Why not?
Let George have a little crack at it.
And since we're not giving a shit about that, does that mean we were being too hard on George for doing that?
Look, man.
Are we making Star Wars too sacred a cow?
Well, maybe we're opening a door where we can allow George to fuck up other people's movies, but not his own.
Yeah.
Just don't touch your own films. But if you want to come in there and throw Ralph Fiennes' nose on there, that'd be great if he just got his nose.
If they just popped the nose out of that face.
Yeah. Or what could have happened, it was Ralph Fiennes' character in The English Patient pre-burn. And then he got burned alive, and then he turns into Voldemort.
I'm not going to go along with your English Patient run. Okay. So Harry Potter wins the day because of love, I guess. Which fuck that. And I hate those.
That was a little unoriginal. I was a little surprised with
that. I don't remember how it goes in the book, but I don't remember being as disappointed as the movie. Maybe it's one of those things that works better on the page or whatever.
Yeah. Richard Harris is still really good in delivering, that kind of sappy monologue.
He's great.
He's just really good.
And there's so many other actors we haven't even mentioned. Maggie Smith is fucking baller in this movie.
She is.
And
she's great.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so then we go to the Great Hall. And they're doing like the end of semester end of the year ceremony, and they have to award the House Cup. They give out points for like achievements in like academia in the school.
Right.
And fucking Dumbledore got that raw bias against Slytherin, baby.
Very true, man.
Slytherin's got the House Cup locked up. Meanwhile,
very true.
We're seeing motherfuckers get like 5 points here, 10 points there.
You don't hear anything about. I didn't even remember the other two houses, what their names were.
Hufflepuff and Ravenclaw. They do not matter in these movies.
At all? Do they ever matter?
They matter in the books here and there, like because you'll meet characters and they're like, that dude's a Ravenclaw, or that lady's a Hufflepuff. But yeah, but really, like they're, like one of them. I don't even remember. I think like Ravenclaw is just like they're the academics, they're smart kids, and like Hufflepuff, they're just like fucking like they're nice or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Next week, our guests will sort you into a Harry Potter house, I think.
Oh, interesting.
They've sorted me, Henry.
What were you?
They say I'm a Slytherin.
I can see that.
All right.
Yeah, but I don't think that's an insult at all.
No, I mean, nor do I.
I think Slytherin's cool.
I'll hang out in Slytherin with Draco and Crabbe and Goyle and shit. You know Crabbe and Goyle as fat kids.
Yeah.
One of them went to jail.
Really?
As an adult, yeah.
Oh,
or like inciting violence during a riot or something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I love all the shit with Neville Longbottom at the end of this movie, where he gets like the points that push Gryffindor to the top. But fucking Dumbledore, what a dick to Slytherin. He's just like, all right, so for Ron for playing chess gets 150 points or some shit. It's ridiculous.
I'd be pretty pissed off.
If I was a Slytherin, I would be fucking transferring schools.
There'd be a mutiny and definitely a transfer. I mean, and it was also funny because he rewards all of them for what they did, which makes sense. But when he gives the Longbottom, it's for trying to stop them from what they did.
Right.
But I didn't
Standing up to your friends.
But I didn't even. I had to think about it for a second. I was like, when did he stand up?
Because he stood up and was like, "Hey guys, stop."
Right. Yeah. That one was an odd choice.
It works better in the book. That one, I'll say.
Yeah, I didn't.
And I'll say to the point of the Slytherin fellas, then we come back from break, right? They had hired Quirrell as Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. He turns out to be fucking Lord Voldemort. And you've got, like, your head of house, Snape, who's the potions professor. He's always wanted to be the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. Yeah. And now we've got an opening because the teacher turned out to be fucking Voldemort. We're going to skip over this guy and hire Gilderoy Lockhart?
I was surprised at that promotion.
I'd be furious if I was a Slytherin.
Yeah, that was really evidence of, you do a lot of work in life, you work your way through something, and you still get fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, very poor.
Snape got hosed.
He really did get hosed. I don't know. Dumbledore's decisions, for the most part, I guess, in the grander scheme of things, are good, but he is really into favoritism.
He's got Potter bias, and he fucking hates Slytherin, and it's you got to feel bad. You got to understand why Draco's got a bug up his ass all the time. You can't blame Draco on any level. He's been sorted into this Slytherin house that gets shit on all the time, and his dad is a fucking Nazi, so he's being raised with propaganda all over the place.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true. You're kind of sliding into the next movie, but yeah, right.
Well, let's get there. All right, so that's the end of the movie. Harry, you're going home now, and he's like, "Nah, this is my home," or whatever. It's sweet. What do you give this movie?
I'm giving this movie a solid 3 stars.
Me too.
Oh, okay. I thought you'd go higher.
No, it's a 3. There are movies in this franchise. Frankly, a bunch of movies in this franchise I like more. Mm-hmm. But this is way more of a kids movie. I can't wait to show it to my nieces someday.
Yeah.
It's too fucking long, and too many of the bits don't work, and I
am giving it 3 because I did enjoy myself. It's a good time. It is tiresome.
It's totally a good time. Fun movie.
Fun movie. I didn't think there were too many dull moments, but I did really, really feel the length. I didn't see any need for it to be that long.
I definitely felt the length in Chamber more, though.
I felt it in both, but yeah. But I'm still gonna give it 3 because it's very enjoyable. My MVP. I should probably save this for later, but
it's just for the first one.
Yeah, I'm going to change it on the spot here because I just realized I'm not going to be able to do this, and I have to give it out. So, despite us talking shit I'm going to go with Richard Harris.
Love it. He's great.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Emma Watson, MVP of this one.
Already?
She's great. Snape is great, but he's not in it that much.
Right.
No, you know what? For the first one, I'll go with Hagrid. I fucking love Robbie Coltrane.
I mean, I was going to go with Harry Potter.
As the MVP.
Yeah, but
I didn't talk a lot about Daniel Radcliffe.
Right. Well, the reason I'm switching it is because I realized too how great Richard Harris was, and it's not going to really get to happen again. And I'm sure I'm looking forward to seeing Daniel Radcliffe get better, so he can wait. And so I'm going to give it to and my LVP was very obvious for me.
Who's that?
That's John Williams.
Oh man, yeah.
Because I like his
but
main
I don't
theme.
Totally think it's his fault. It's like it's
no,
too prevalent.
It is.
I watched Monty Python and the Holy Grail last night, and I was reading about it afterwards. And Terry Jones said that he showed that movie to an audience with way more score in it. And he said that some of the lines that he thought were really good laugh lines didn't get as big laughs as he felt they deserved. And then he re-edited the movie so that the score never plays over a punchline.
Oh, very cool.
And the movie got such a better reception, and he did that for the rest of his career. And I think that's such a bright thing to think of.
Well, I agree completely, but I'm not giving it to John Williams because he's too prevalent. I'm giving it to because of his unoriginality. It's just not one of his better scores.
All right.
I think his main theme is nice and catchy and does the job. And I even like its little incarnations that he does. But for the most part, the rest of the score, I was hearing, I'm not even going to be snobby about classical music. I was hearing his own music a lot. It became distracting in certain points. I was just like, this is Star Wars stuff. This is Superman.
Yeah. I noticed there were a couple Star Wars things.
Oh my God. And that just leads me to the conclusion sometimes, which I think is pretty obvious to say, but it's just sometimes John Williams just isn't really trying. And I mean, I think he really tried to get a good main theme and he succeeded, but to score an entire movie, no. Yeah. So that's that.
All right, my LVP is Quirrell. Actor's name is Ian Hart.
That's correct.
I think he's okay, but for the main villain in your first Harry Potter movie, I think you need a stronger performance. Just a bigger performance.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's kind of a nobody. I guess that's maybe what they were going for. But
yeah, I guess. Yeah, you wouldn't peg him, but whatever.
I do have a superhero count of 4.
I thought it'd be more than that.
So did I. It took me a very long time.
Is the second one a lot more?
No, it's less.
Really?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, who are the 4? Let's hear it.
Yeah. Number 1.
No, what the fuck? I want the theme.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was getting carried away with the. Here we go.
Get carried away. That was the tagline of the first Sex and the City movie. Vote for Cynthia Nixon, gang. All right, go
ahead. The kid who played Draco, Tom Felton.
Tom Felton. Now, I know where you're going with this. He did an arc on a full season of The Flash as a character named Julian. And he was so, I always thought he was fine as Draco, but never thought much about it. And he was so good on The Flash that I was really hoping they'd fold that character into being a regular character on the show, and I was genuinely disappointed when they didn't.
Oh, okay.
He was really good, yeah.
Well, you nailed it. Second is Richard Griffiths, the bad uncle. Sure. This was funny because I remembered it in Superman 2, in that opening sequence in the Eiffel Tower.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah.
He's one of the terrorists planning the bomb.
Shit.
Isn't that something?
That's really weird.
Yeah, and I remembered it, too. There's a big fat terrorist in there speaking French. Number 3 is your boy Ian Hart,
Quirrell.
Can you guess what he was in?
No idea.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Dr. Franklin Hall.
I think that's a Hydra guy. I could be wrong. Okay.
Probably. And lastly, we've done him before. John Hurt was in Hellboy.
Yeah.
Playing Broom Bruttenholm. And in V for Vendetta, he was the bad guy, Adam Sutler.
Yeah. The bad guys in that movie were the directors and
filmmakers.
writers. Yeah. All right. All right. So, Chamber of Secrets, Henry.
Chamber of Secrets.
It comes to us almost a year later to the day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
1 year.
Okay.
It's the shortest window between Harry Potter movies, but they really wanted to get this baby going. It comes out November 15th, 2002. Budget of $100 million, less than the first one, weirdly. Box office of $879 million, a little less than the first one, too. I think the first one was the highest grossing Harry Potter movie until, like, the last one.
I think you're right. I think I read that.
Yeah.
That's interesting to me. So, I mean, what happened? Did some of the interest wane?
I don't think so. I just think, like, more people like checked it out. Like, let's see what this is.
Yeah, right.
And then when the last one came out, it was like a similar thing. Like every TV show, like the series finale is always like the ratings are higher because people that may have like watched the first few were like, let's see how it ends.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, for sure.
So Chamber of Secrets, it was Sorcerer's Stone was, of course, number 1 at the box office in 2001. Chamber of Secrets is number 4 at the box office in 2002.
Yeah.
Number 5, of course, My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Number 4, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and it was only beaten by Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, and Spider-Man at number 1.
Ah, good.
Okay, so, one thing I realized we didn't talk about when we did the first one, Henry, is the writer, Steve Kloves.
Oh, Wonder Boys.
Okay, yeah. Now, this guy is really important to the Harry Potter franchise. I think more important than Chris Columbus because he wrote 7 of the 8 movies.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
He writes the first 4, then he takes a little leave of absence for the 5th one, and he comes back for 6, 7, and 8.
Wow. And he's also wrote one of my favorite movies that you don't care about, The Fabulous Baker Boys.
He wrote and directed that movie, Henry.
That's right. Yeah.
He got his start as an auteur. He wrote and directed Fabulous Baker Boys and then Flesh and Bone. And then he kind of went to director jail after that, but he kept writing, and he wrote Wonder Boys, which is a really great movie.
Yeah.
And then just like spent the next decade of his career working on Harry Potter, basically.
Sure.
Yeah. He also wrote the first Amazing Spider-Man movie, which, all right.
Ooh.
But hey, the Harry Potter franchise gave him a little bit of clout back because I see he's working on his 3rd film as a director.
What's that?
It looks like a lawyer movie.
Okay.
All right.
That'll star either Matthew McConaughey or Denzel Washington.
I'd be fine with either one.
Yeah.
That new Matthew McConaughey movie, White Boy Rick, looks real good.
Oh, I've heard of it. I don't think I saw the trailer.
Really? I've seen the trailer like 100 times.
Really?
Yeah. All right. So Steve Kloves, he's a talented writer.
Yeah.
Let's talk about our 2002 lists. I redid my 2002 list.
Had you redone it before?
Not in a long time, but yeah.
Right. I hadn't redone mine at all, ever, and so I decided it was time for a change. I ended up only knocking off a couple of things, but they were important.
It's a pretty good year. I wrote down.
It was a crazy year.
I wrote down 17 movies, so I have 7 honorable mentions right here.
I wrote 32 movies.
Holy shit! Why would you write that many down? You'd have to know some of them aren't going to make it.
Oh, I knew. I just like to write down on this year just things of significance to me, and then I like narrowed it down, crossed them out. So I'm not going to name all of my honorable mentions, obviously.
Please don't.
No, I have 17 of them. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just name a few.
Wait. Don't you have...
What? Yeah, but I whittled some of
22?
those. I said 32, but I crossed some of those just off even being an honorable mention.
Okay.
So they're just gone.
All right. My 7 honorable mentions, I'll just read them really quick.
I'll do 7 then.
Catch Me If You Can, The Bourne Identity, 8 Mile, Panic Room, The Pianist, Secretary, and of course, Swim Fan.
Interesting. All right. I'm going to just pick 7 then.
All right.
I'll go for 7. Unfaithful.
Yeah.
1 Hour Photo.
Oh, sure.
8 Mile.
Uh-huh.
The Pianist.
Yeah.
The Ring.
The Ring, yeah.
Really like it.
Okay.
City of God, Frida.
Oh, City of God. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
And Secretary was also on there. That was Spider in the Salton Sea.
Okay. All right, what's your number 10?
Spider-Man.
Love it. My number 10 is The Rules of Attraction.
Great movie. Didn't see it till you gave it to me on VHS.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Big box of VHS I gave you.
Mm-hmm. All right. My number 9, making its list debut, is The Bourne Identity.
My number 9 is the American release of The Piano Teacher.
Fair game. My number 8 is 28 Days Later.
My number 8 is Lovely and Amazing.
All right. That's Hall of Sinner, right?
Yep. That's my favorite Hall of Sinner.
Okay. My number 7, making its list debut, is Insomnia.
My number... God, the boner you have for Christopher Nolan is disgusting.
Hey, when I tell you what I took off, I don't want to hear any shit from you.
Memento. All right,
I hate that movie,
right.
and you know it.
My number 7 is Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Yeah, I bumped that. My number 6, this was tough. I almost bumped it, but I didn't. Bowling for Columbine.
Great movie. My number 6 is Punch Drunk Love.
Ugh, fucking terrible movie. Your P.T. Anderson hard-on, my friend. Oh,
is warranted. Okay,
what's
your number 5?
Not for that movie. People make bad movies.
Yeah, I know. It's called Inherent Vice.
Which I loved.
I know. All right.
Should I skip the Heavy Hitters theme?
Yeah. Well, we
tired
can
of
skip it.
Okay. No.
The grand slams, the slap shots.
Yeah, you can do it.
The puck when the curling when the
I have
puck
a couple
goes
of listeners
near
who
the
like
circle.
hearing it twice.
These are the
but,
heavy hitters of the franchise. Heavy hitters.
But you win.
Okay, what's number 5?
Number 5 making its list debut. Narc.
Sure. Joe Carnahan.
Great fucking movie.
My number 5 is Bowling for Columbine.
I don't know. For some reason, I thought you were... Is it Fahrenheit 9/11 you're kind of
I don't like Fahrenheit 9/11. Bowling for Columbine, as far as I'm concerned, is Michael Moore's masterpiece. I mean, still... after the fucking weird Madden 2019 shooting this week is as relevant as ever.
No, I agree. That's kind of why I kept it on.
All right.
Yeah, you articulated it well. My number 4 is Panic Room.
All right. Great movie. That one hurt a lot not having it on the list.
Yeah, I bet. I jumped it up. I moved it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My number 4 is Adaptation.
That was in my honorable mentions. I didn't mention it, but yes. My number 3 is About Schmidt.
Yeah. My number 3 is About Schmidt.
Still love that. And yeah, my top 3 didn't change. If nobody out there has ever seen that movie, you got to fucking see About Schmidt.
It's
right?
honestly in the conversation for best Jack Nicholson performance, and that is saying something.
That is saying something, and I honestly think it's in the conversation for best Alexander Payne movie.
I think it is. It is in the conversation. Yeah.
My number 2 movie of 2002 is a movie I saw 3 times in the theater, and that is Gangs of New York.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good movie. My number 2 is Far From Heaven.
That was on my list.
All right, go ahead.
What's that? What?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
My yellow dog joke that I make constantly.
Oh.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, all right, good.
Oh, we're going to have the same number 1, huh?
I think so. It'll never change.
Yeah.
That's 25th Hour.
25th Hour, sure. Spike Lee's most recent masterpiece until this year.
Yeah. I mean, 25th Hour is an absolute masterpiece. I agree on Black Klansman, too. Mm-hmm. But 25th Hour, it's always interesting to see. I love Spike Lee, but I read something recently about there was some highly influential critic who wrote that it is his masterpiece, as if he only had one. It was an interesting.
That's absurd.
Yeah, it's a little. I mean, I don't think it's absurd, but it's ignoring.
No, it's absurd
the right
because
thing.
No. He's made 4 perfect movies, as far as I'm concerned.
Go ahead.
Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X,
Mm-hmm.
Black Klansman, and 25th Hour, and that's not even including some movies that are very near masterpieces in my mind. She's Gotta Have It and Mo Better Blues, and he's incredible. He's one of the best filmmakers there ever was. So
I agree.
Let's calm down and look at his entire career. And
I agree. But it was a funny reaction I had only because I was happy to see someone even mention it.
Yeah,
because it was in a review of Black Klansman, and it said something like, along with his masterpiece, 25th Hour.
Right.
Wow, it's the first time
I think I read that review.
Oh, did you?
That rings a bell to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just like happy to see a critic even say that.
Some people do. I think the AV Club at one point ran a list of like the top 50 movies of the 2000s or something. And I think 25th Hour might have been like number 1 or something.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Good. All
right, gang. Chamber of Seeks. Let's do it. It starts off. Harry's back at home with the Dursleys.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah, we're gonna do that. And
why can't he stay at Hogwarts?
They don't have a summer program, Henry.
So no indigent children are like allowed.
No,
if
they have a bad home life, they're allowed to stay over the holidays, Henry. Harry always ends up staying there over Christmas.
Right.
But over the summer, you got to do your own thing. I think eventually in the Harry Potter books, he just started hanging out with the Weasleys in the summers.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we get the Dursleys are having company over.
Yeah,
right?
They are. They have his boss, right?
Yeah. So Harry better stay in his fucking room and not make a sound. All right. He's got a bedroom at least at this point. He was sleeping under the stairs. So he's staying up there and he's planning on being quiet. But oh, buddy, here he comes, Dobby, the house elf.
Yeah.
All right, making a real nuisance of himself. This character sucks.
I like Dobby a lot.
Whoa! Dobby is so annoying to me. I don't even like him in the books.
I like Dobby.
And the book fans that are giving me shit about that, I love the whole fucking house elf liberation front and shit, but leave me alone with Dobby.
House elf liberation.
Yeah, well,
health?
Or I don't remember what it is. It's Hermione becomes like a voice for the house elf, like she's trying to free the house elves. Like it's a funny story because it's the same thing. Like they're doing the storyline where like the high school kid first becomes aware of politics, and like goes all in on it. It's real cute. Okay. I don't think they did it in the movies. That's the only reason I'm talking about it. But,
I like Dobby a lot. Again, at the time, rewatching this, totally confused, thinking of Gollum, thinking he spoke the same way.
It's similar to Gollum,
but I'll take Dobby any day.
Yeah, I guess. Smeagol.
I like Dobby.
All right, so it's the voiced by the second best Truman Capote, Toby Jones, and
didn't know that.
You know, from Wayward Pines.
I didn't count him in my superhero count, so I'll get that out of the way. He's in the Marvel movies.
Oh, you didn't know that's Toby Jones?
No.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's in all those fucking Marvel movies. Right. So, what happens? They interrupt the party. They make a cake fall on a guy's head. It's slapstick silly.
Yep.
And the Weasleys, Ron and his brothers, Fred and George, they come pick him up in the flying car.
Yeah, they break him out of his house.
Yeah.
Through barred windows.
Yeah, and Vernon, Mr. Dursley falls out the window. I like that bit.
Yeah. Didn't die.
No.
But
he lands on a bush.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, but if you weigh 500 pounds and you fall like that,
you probably die.
You think you're dead.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
Whatever.
Or at least you break your back.
Break your back, concussion.
Yeah, it could be a real Nightfall situation.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice
What
comic
a
nerd
ref.
riff. All right.
Woo.
So
All right, it's Hazel. Go ahead.
so they drive over
Or
to
Ezreal.
yeah. They drive over to the Weasley's house, the Burrow, I think it's called.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
they're there. Apparently, young Ginny's been totally wet for Harry all summer. She's got like a major crush on him, and that's cute. I like that scene. And then
That's before they all go into town, right?
yeah, well
And
we
meet Jason Isaacs.
we meet the Weasley's dad, who he's okay in this movie, but I always thought that character was really great. And I feel like we maybe should have made him a bigger role, cast a better actor, a bigger name. Like we have John Cleese in these movies as a ghost.
Right.
And he shows up like every 3 seconds.
He could have been the dad.
Yeah, let's use John Cleese over there as the dad.
Right. For sure.
So they have to go to Diagon Alley again. They're going by Flue Powder, which is a transport system by way of chimney and or fireplace. And
I didn't even realize that. Is that why they all stand in there?
Yes,
I just thought it was
yeah.
you could stand anywhere and do.
No,
Okay,
it's a
I
thing
get
in
it.
the books. There's
Got
like
it.
a few ways to like transport in the books. One of them's Flue Powder, one of them Port Key, but I don't think we get one of those till the fourth one. So,
Okay.
oh my god, I forgot that I'm a Harry Potter nerd. I have not talked about Harry
I
Potter
didn't.
like this in years.
Yeah, I didn't forget. That's why I was highly reliant on you for this kind
Holy
of stuff.
shit!
Yeah.
There
Well
are
done.
things I thought I didn't have in my brain about Harry Potter that I do.
Well, reading all those books twice, I mean, they would have to stick with you. Some
I
things.
guess.
Yeah.
All right, so zesty lime seltzer. All right, so we get going. They're supposed to say Diagon Alley, clearly.
Clearly, that's what they're supposed to
And
say.
Harry Potter, like a fucking dick, like a weird fucking incompetent piece of shit, says diagonally. All right.
Couldn't see that coming.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he ends up in like a weird store, and we get like spooky clues to like.
He slides into the set from Hell.
It
all of
does
a
look
sudden.
like that, yeah.
Totally in that.
Or
Yeah.
Tim Burton's Sleepy Hollow,
Yeah.
and he meets. Is that where we see Lucius Malfoy for the first time?
I think he gets out by that point, and he sees him in the store. No.
We definitely see him in the bookstore, yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Oh, he might see him in the street. I don't remember.
I think he sees him in that store.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
It's Jason Isaacs, a very fine actor of some note.
Love Jason Isaacs.
Yeah, really good. And I think
Resident Evil, right?
of course, Resident Evil. That is his foremost role.
Oh, I see.
But I love him in these movies. I think he's really, really good.
Yeah, he was my MVP, and then he ended up not really being in it very much.
Yeah,
so.
because he's in it a lot at the beginning and a lot at the end. Because they're mostly setting him up for future movies.
Okay.
But he's good in the time he's given, and I really, do you know about the whole ad lib thing at the end?
Nope.
I love this story. So, in the script, it was written that like Dumbledore gives like at the end of the movie, it gives Lucius a talking to, and he just like books out.
Yeah.
And and Jason Isaacs, using his very actorly instincts, is like Lucius is not the type of guy that's just gonna like walk out with his tail between his legs. He's gonna like say something snarky.
Mm-hmm.
So he ad-libbed the line like, well, let's just hope Harry Potter's around to save everyone next time. And supposedly, without missing a fucking beat, little Danny Radcliffe, pipes in with his own ad-lib, "Don't worry, I will be." And they kept it in the movie.
Cool. I didn't know that.
I love that.
That's very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I dig that. Yeah.
Yeah, so we go to this bookstore, and Gilderoy Lockhart is signing books, and it turns out this fellow is going to be the new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher. He's like a sort of a crocodile hunter style,
right.
wizarding personality, and he's played by Kenneth Branagh, and I think Kenneth Branagh is fucking hilarious in this.
He is hilarious. He's really good. I was surprised because I was expecting. And I guess this is a good thing. I was expecting like a major heel turn for him, but instead you just kind of get what I suspected from his first appearance is just he's just an idiot.
Well, I know. I
kind of just knew that right away. I guess you're not supposed to know that right away. I don't know. I mean, it is for kids.
Well,
so
I think you're supposed to think he's an idiot right away, and then just the magnitude of that expands and expands. It's weird because one of the little fun things about this franchise is that every book has a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher.
Oh.
And so you can't. We had Quirrell have a heel turn in the first one. We can't have all of them turn out to be the villain.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
So Snape gets fucked over
repeatedly. Yeah.
I wonder if he filed a grievance that was off screen. Like in the principal's chambers.
Well, we're told he's lobbied for the position.
Right.
And he's
God. Yeah.
Dumbledore is the true villain of this piece.
It's just a biased employer.
He really is. He's a biased employer. All right? All right. Henry, where do we go? What are we up to? So let's get to the school. They miss the platform. Someone is like trying to like get Harry to not go to Hogwarts.
Well, Dobby right away says don't go.
Exactly. But then they close off the gate to platform 9 3/4, and so they steal the flying car and drive it to Hogwarts.
Correct. Yeah. Which I didn't realize till later has like its own personality.
That whole thing is silly. Okay. Can I just say right here, Chamber of Secrets is my least favorite movie in the franchise.
So it still is.
As of now. I like the first one more than the second one. I'm going to rewatch all these babies.
Yeah.
But to me, it's just way too fucking long. That whole flying car sequence takes for fucking ever. I mean, there's
a long chase.
There's so many sequences I don't need. There's that long ass sequence with the fucking spiders. Well,
I like that.
I mean,
I like that one.
It's genuinely scary.
Fucking A, it is.
But
that was the most disturbing part of the second movie to me.
All right, but Aragog, it's just a little silly. This talking
spider. Well, hey, I was I didn't care at that point. I mean, we see another pretty big British actress playing Moaning Myrtle. Shirley Johnson, I think.
I know, and she's playing like a dead kid, and she's like 50 years old in real life.
Yeah, well, at the time this was filmed, she was probably like in her 30s, right? But we covered her when we did Train Spotting.
Did we?
Yeah, she's Spud's girlfriend.
Really? Oh, yeah, I can picture that. Yeah. Shirley Henderson, is that her name?
Henderson, there you go. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Moaning Myrtle, she's good. She's like a kid that once upon a time was murdered in the bathroom there. Yeah. And she still hangs around.
Yeah.
And she's super fucking horny. But and sad. She has a couple of really good line deliveries. Like I was sitting in my cubicle thinking about death.
Yeah, I like that.
That's great.
That was very good.
She's like an Emily the Strange character or something.
I don't know that reference.
But anyway, she's great. And it turns out so someone's opened the Chamber of Secrets. How many secret compartments are there in Hogwarts?
I don't know, man. It's a freaky place to go. I mean, You get confused about what magic can do and what it can't do because you would think that Dumbledore kind of is an all-seeing, all-knowing person.
Well, in the books, one of the things I like about the books is the magic rules are very clear to me. And it's what bothers me about a lot of fantasy, Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones. Like, it takes place in, like, a magical land, so you can do basically anything.
Yeah.
I'm always very clear in Harry Potter about what is possible and what is not.
Interesting.
And, but they're rushing through it as much as they can in these books.
Yeah. But, I mean, that translates to a lot of things. I mean, that's what, I mean, you always translate it to, like, even the Marvel movies. It's like, well, what can Iron Man withstand and what can't he, and then what can Doctor Strange do and not, and there doesn't ever seem to be any real parameters. I mean, they try to explain that stuff,
read enough comics and
Yeah, right. But I'm talking about it like from a movie
perspective.
standpoint.
Sure.
Yeah. But yeah, so that was interesting, and I guess it was leaving me open to wonder at certain points in this movie. I was wondering, it was going through my head: is Dumbledore sort of like not orchestrating the stuff, but is he one of those characters that knows it needs to happen? Like these bad things have to happen in order for like Harry to become who he is. Like, is he like an, you know what I mean? Is he like an almost like an unpowered architect?
I can't really answer that, and
Yeah.
I'll say that the books and the movies are from Harry's perspective. And so right now,
is it first person?
No, it is not. No, it is not.
But it's still from his. Yeah.
But it's basically we know what he knows.
Okay.
And so it's the first two are written from the perspective of an 11-year-old and a 12-year-old. And so as he grows older, he will understand more.
Got it. As will we.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. All right. So the Chamber of Secrets is open. Motherfuckers are getting petrified.
Yes.
And this brings me to one of my main problems with Chamber of Secrets.
Uh-oh. All right.
They raise the stakes about halfway through this movie when Hermione gets petrified.
Right, at the 4-hour mark. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so she's just in a hospital bed for the rest of the movie. And so the entire movie is now resting on Harry and Ron's shoulders. And so Ron is being asked to do too much. And Hermione, who to this point has been the most sympathetic character in the franchise and the most likable as far as
the most interesting kid too.
Yeah. She's just disappeared from the rest of this movie.
And that brings me well segued into my LVP, which is Ron. And I don't know. I feel like it is Rupert Grint, but he is so fucking overacting every sequence. He's like a silent movie character.
Yeah, he definitely pulls some faces in this
Jesus. I mean, he's like mugging constantly, and it's just like,
oh
that
my God.
is irritating.
Dude, when Mrs. Weasley sends him that letter that yells at him.
Oh, Lord.
And he has to like react to that.
Right.
Rupert Grint is so crazily overacting in that scene.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, it's the kind of thing that I always fear with child actors, and up to that point it hadn't really happened. Like everyone's kind of good and solid and serious and funny when they need to be. But in this one, he's just a fucking clown who's like so inept. And like, it was one of those things too, where I kept seeing the sequences with like the joke. One of the things that did get old for me, like real quick, was his broken wand.
Yeah.
Like, dude, all right. It was funny at first.
That fucking him vomiting slugs is disgusting.
It's grotesque, and it's like it's done. And it's like, all right, like the wand is fucking broken. I get it. Like, get another one or don't use it. And it's just like
he can't. The Weasleys are poor, so they can't afford another one.
Somebody at the school could lend him one. Maybe from Hufflepuff,
hey,
right?
Dumbledore, get in there.
Yeah. Show some favoritism there,
Yeah. Somehow Harry ended up with a fucking Nimbus 2000.
That's right.
Surely Ron could get a wand.
Come on, dude.
Favoritism towards Harry in these movies is disgusting.
And when Hermione's petrified, Ron could just steal her wand, just take it for a while, and give it back at the end.
It's just like in her dead hand.
Yeah, just give it back at the end from her cold dead hand. You know?
Huh. Oh boy.
Anyway, yeah, he annoyed me.
All right, that's fair.
But I like the sequence where they come to get. I jumped ahead, I guess, but I like the sequence where they come to get Hagrid and put him in Azkaban.
Sure, I like that.
And he says, "Follow the spiders." I thought that was pretty scary shit.
Yeah, I like that too. And we get to see Cornelius Fudge for the first time, who's a character I like.
Oh, he's the head of the wizardry.
He's the Minister of Magic.
Okay. Appreciate that. You're right. Gonna get it right. Yeah.
In the books, there are some very specific analogs to Tony Blair.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Is she not a fan?
No.
Interesting.
And she criticizes him through Cornelius Fudge.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. And that's pre-Iraq War Tony Blair, too, so that's interesting.
In the books, it's the later book, so it's during the Iraq War.
Oh, got it. I was going to say it had to be that. Mm-hmm. Not that I know much about him beyond that, but yeah, okay. Mm-hmm.
What, you didn't see the special relationship?
I did, actually, yes. Yeah, very good, actually. I liked what's-his-face in that. What's his name? Frost Nixon's guy?
Langella? Oh, Michael Sheen.
Yeah, I love Michael Sheen.
Michael Sheen's fucking great.
Yeah, he is.
He plays Blair. Who plays Clinton in that?
Dennis Quaid.
Oh, that's right. I only knew that because I watched that movie Undercover Blues, and then I was IMDb Dennis Quaid.
Nice. Very nice.
Oh, boy. All right.
Yeah.
So what happens? They go into the fucking Chamber of Secrets, dude. So,
with Branna, they find him out.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He talks to. I thought this was a cool sequence. He talks to that book, Tom Riddle.
Oh yeah, that is a good sequence, and it's
neat.
an important sequence because Tom Riddle, as it turns out, is Voldemort.
So, all right, I had to ask you this. This is genuine perplexity on my part. So Quirrell and Riddle so Voldemort is like he is inhabiting these people, or he is like using their body but with their full knowledge.
Quirrell's full knowledge.
So when he says he is Voldemort, I was thinking like, oh well, he's kind of like working for Voldemort. But
Tom Riddle?
Both Quirrell and
Quirrell is a Death Eater working for Voldemort. Tom Riddle is Voldemort.
So he is okay.
Yeah,
a Death Eater.
The Death Eaters are like his henchmen. You know, like fucking the Nazis to Hitler.
Okay, all right. So Tom Riddle is all right, but he wasn't. Was he Voldemort from the 1950s and all that shit when he was like in Hogwarts? He's not.
Yeah, I mean, look,
he goes way back. Voldemort.
It's explained better in the book. I don't remember, but it's Voldemort. Because he does that fucking thing at the end where it's like Tom Marvolo Riddle.
Right. But
I am Lord Voldemort. That's silly.
Right, but I did not understand in the flashback sequence when Dumbledore sees him on the stairs. I was trying to figure out, does that mean that at that point Voldemort did not exist as Voldemort, and it was just this guy Tom Riddle who had these evil
That's right, Tom Riddle. Much like it's like a Darth Vader situation, Henry.
Oh,
so he was like
I did not get this at all.
He was Tom Riddle. He was a student at Hogwarts, and he kind of became obsessed with the dark side of magic and sort of transformed himself over the years into Lord Voldemort.
I see.
Yeah.
Very important. Was not particularly clear to me in this viewing. Okay. All right. So that is him.
Yeah.
All right. Got it.
You know what bothers me about this movie?
What?
Harry's always dirty. He's always got dirt all over his face.
Well, he's always, he's always trying to. He's an action guy, He gets dirty in the Quidditch match.
But he's just got like a layer of dirt on his face. Yeah. The kid's got to get some acne, I would think, and
He falls down too many chimneys, this one.
He's so dirty all the time that even in the fucking movie poster of Chamber of Secrets, he's got dirt all over his face.
Yeah.
It's fucking gross.
Well, he's got to watch that cut, too. He should try to keep it clean and sterile. Even though
totally.
It seems like it's an open wound that will not heal. So I would be keeping a bandage over that.
So he goes into the fucking Chamber of Secrets and he defeats the big snake, the basilisk.
Yeah, that was disappointing only to me because I thought it was a cool sequence. It was disappointing in that I didn't find that snake in any way scary or original.
No, and part of that
compared to the spider, it's like holy shit, like that was way more like nerve-wracking.
Well, Voldemort's into snakes. He's got like a pet snake named Nagini. I can't believe I remember this shit. And also it's a thing where in the book, I think Tom Riddle is more the nemesis at the end of the book, but since it's a movie.
Right.
Him like chatting with Tom Riddle isn't as cinematic as Harry fighting a snake. So we really like bucked up that sequence and made the snake big.
And I did feel sorry for the snake when Harry takes its eyes out. Yeah. I was a little upset. That was one of those moments I was talking about earlier where it's like real dark, but it's played off like cartoonishly. But he blinds an animal.
Yeah.
And this thing's got blood sockets in its head, and oh my lord!
When he stabs the fucking snake through like the jaw with his sword, that's bloody and crazy.
Yeah, that's nutsoid. I did really like the tooth being stuck in him. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, that was great.
That was a nice touch. I had another thought about that sequence, but I can't remember what it was. But that's okay. Yeah.
And Ginny was possessed by Voldemort. That's the other big plot line that comes.
Oh, that I figured that was pretty clear. I got that out of it. But through the actions of Lucius Malfoy, by kind of serendipitously her finding the book that he planted in her bag, right?
Right.
Because she opened up all this shit, kind of unknowingly. Yeah.
So, he saves Ginny, and he rescues Dobby from Lucius, and...
I like that a lot.
That's nice, and that's the end of the movie.
Like that. I like that a lot. Gives him the sock. It's a nice little touch.
Yeah.
I figured... I was getting a little upset. I figured, he better fucking help Dobby out. This is bullshit.
Listen, he does.
Yeah,
Harry leaves no man behind.
I appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good character trait, and so he hooks him up with freedom, so that's nice. Maybe
I also liked the reappearance of the Sorting Hat in this movie to like revisit the fact that maybe Harry was meant to be a Slytherin.
I like that too.
And then Dumbledore telling Harry the fact that you wanted to be a Gryffindor makes you not a Slytherin.
Yes, deep.
Yeah.
Kind of. Yeah. Not being sarcastic, yeah.
No. So that's the movie, and it's not as good as the first one, and I don't love it. But when I watched it in the headspace I was in for Real Weird Sisters, I thought of this movie as being a real fucking dud in the franchise.
Interesting.
I would have given it a 1 back then.
Wow.
And I'm gonna give it a 2 here.
Oh, really? That low?
Yeah.
I'm giving it a 3.
So long.
I'm giving it a 3. Because
I felt like I was going to watch this movie for the rest of my life.
I got up more than 2 or 3 times.
I watched it on 2 separate days, which I never do.
I understand that. Yeah, I've done that. Yeah. I'm giving it 3 though, because to me it was. I found it pretty much kind of, I hate saying this, but kind of the same vibe as I found in the first one. The length, again, bothered me a little more, but it's still a solid movie. It's still a solid entertainment. Giving it a 2, I get it, I guess, from a grander scale of viewing, but just for me, it's still a 3-star movie.
It's just a movie, even now, if I'm jonesing, I'm gonna rewatch the Harry Potter movies. I always have in the back of my mind, I'm gonna have to watch Chamber of Secrets.
I get it. I get that. Sure. I have that with many of the franchises we've covered, I totally understand that. Yeah. Who's your MVP?
My MVP for this one is you know what? Last time I'll get to do it because Michael Gambon comes into the franchise next week. But you got to go with Richard Harris, who is really just fantastic.
Yep, agreed.
I can't believe I haven't given Alan Rickman an MVP yet. Alan Rickman's the MVP of the whole franchise.
Well, I figured there'd be a lot of time.
I guess.
Same with
There's
Harry.
8 of these babies.
Right, same with Harry and Hermione, and all that. My MVP, I'm going Dobby.
Fucking Dobby, he's my LVP.
Yeah, I figured my LVP's Ron by a home run and a half.
All right.
I like Dobby. He's I don't usually like characters like
when
that,
Dobby,
the cutesy type of stuff.
Like,
but
has Dobby offended Harry Potter? And he starts banging his head on a dresser. It's so fucking ridiculous.
He's very violent. I think it's also because I don't usually ever go for the cutesy type characters. It's not my thing. I don't like it. And this one, I don't mind him. I like him. So, points for not turning me completely off.
I hate the sequence with the Dursleys party that they're throwing. It's too frustrating to just watch like Harry being normal and not needing to do anything, and this fucking prick Dobby just like blowing his spot.
This fucking prick Dobby.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think that the real Weird Sisters have ever said a sentence like that?
No.
Okay.
All right. So, let's superhero count.
Yeah, 2.
Okay.
All right, this was surprising to me. We've done Jason Isaacs before, so I'll do him first. He was in Elektra, the live-action Elektra, playing DeMarco. And then I remembered this because this was great. Whenever we covered him on Resident Evil, that he's been in 3 animated DC movies, always playing the biggest bad guy, which we commented on before. So he always got like choice prime roles. Batman Under the Red Hood, he played Ra's al Ghul, your favorite villain. Green Lantern Emerald Knights, he played Sinestro. And Justice League Gods and Monsters, he played Lex Luthor.
Oh boy.
Yeah, he's a heavy hitter.
He is. He's a heavy hitter.
And then this one was new because I don't include directors. Kenneth Branagh, of course, directed Thor, but I wouldn't have counted him. But little did I know that in the Avengers of Infinity War, it is his voice that is. You remember the very beginning of the movie when they're like it's taken right after Ragnarok and they're kind of like stranded in space on that ship.
Yeah.
Big sequence. His voice is the Asgardian distress call coming through the pipes to say, "Are you okay?
Jason
Is everybody
Isaacs?
okay?" No, Kenneth Branagh.
Oh, Kenneth Branagh. That's really weird and cool.
Yeah, so they brought him back to do a little voice cameo.
Little shout out to the director of Thor.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's it.